Hello everybody and welcome back to my single player Minecraft world. As you can see, I am standing on a little bit of a product of last episode's adventure. Now, at the end of last episode, I kind of hinted at the fact that I actually had already built our very first enclosure for the Alex's Mobs Caves. It didn't make the cut for last week's video, but today we're going to go ahead and go through the actual building of this enclosure, and I'm also thinking we might finally start on expanding our farm. That was kind of the whole process, or the whole farm was kind of the whole reason why this series started, and I've been neglecting it in favor of dinosaurs, I'm afraid, for maybe a bit too long, but that's okay. We can rectify that today. First, however, we have that enclosure to show you. Trying very hard to keep it out of the camera. You can maybe see a little peek of it. See the trees peeking out of it. So that is up there, and the farming section that we're going to work on later is going to be over here. I already went ahead and did a little bit of terraforming. Deleted some trees from existence in preparation for that. This is the area I want to build this exhibit in. I'm going to have to flatten out this space some, because they will definitely get stuck trying to navigate this kind of valley. So I'm thinking I'm going to have it kind of come around here, around the edge of where this hill is, and then stop at this area of the hill and come up maybe kind of just around this small peak and across the back, or the front I guess, of this cliff face. And that should give them plenty of room to move around, as well as I'm considering a little bit of an area right nearby where I'll move my tree farm to. A lot of my trees have actually been moved to those botany pots down there in the florist's building. I'm not sure if I ever properly explained those, but they grow trees in them without me having to physically chop them down, basically. So I've been using those for the woods that I use very frequently, but for woods that I don't use very frequently but that grow quite large, I'm thinking it'll be nice to be able to kind of use our Relicaruses as, animals of labor, working animals. It's a very practical thing, especially given the kind of lore or story that we're building for this place. They would very much want to be taking care of these animals and using them to better the rest of the settlement. And for a lot of animals, in modern day, animals that were raised or bred to be work animals, it's important for them to do that work. It's enriching for them. I have to imagine it's going to be the same for our Relicaruses. I have flattened this area out a little bit. I still have a little bit of a divot down here. Maybe we'll put a water feature here, especially since I guess they do eat fish. They're pescatarians, so that would make sense. And I have the materials for our wall here. I did end up, while I was out collecting some more calcite because I was critically low, I did end up finding this chunk, and I was thinking this looks like it fits in with our color palettes very nicely. I've tried other blocks in this palette before. I think I tried white sandstone, which is also a Biomes of Plenty block. Or, I guess it is a Biomes of Plenty block. This is a Regions Unexplored block. But I like this a lot better. The white sandstone was just too white for me. But this, I think, fits in this palette quite nicely. Alright. It is occurring to me that I think I might have been muted while recording a segment about the trees that I'm putting in this exhibit, actually. So that's okay. That's fine. We'll recap, just in case I haven't. Trees. I had a couple of different saplings from both Alex's Caves and Unusual Prehistory that I wanted to try in this area. And I ended up going with the Pewin logs from Alex's Caves. Specifically these ones because I know the Rhylicarises, however they're pronounced, will actually, like, they have a behavior that will eat the branches, and that's cute, and I want to be able to see that. The other one I was considering were these ginkgo trees. They might not be in this backpack anymore. They're not. From Unusual Prehistory, because I really want to make this area like a very highly canopied, low ground vegetation, foresty area, because that's kind of where I imagine these creatures living if they were real. It is dark. That's a little better. So, I want these very tall trees with bushy tops and, smaller bushes along the trunk, and the ginkgo tree very much fit that. But I didn't like the default ginkgo tree, and I don't feel like designing another custom tree type at this point in time. Partially because I don't feel like it, and partially just because, I don't know, I kind of want the area to be a little cohesive in terms of what kinds of custom trees I'm building, and I already have 3 types. I have the willow and azalea tree that I've been kind of spotting around in our general areas. I have our fancy wisteria tree, and I have this birch tree. So what I was thinking... Did one of you just snore? Because that's really cute if so. No, I think that's just your normal noises. They keep getting stuck down here. I don't know how to fix this. If I open these, will you be happy? No. Okay. Well, that's fine. Anyway, I remembered that I had these custom birch trees that I made. Or rather, this one custom birch tree that I made in here. And I figured that this would probably be another good option for that kind of DIY foresty biome we're doing over here in this exhibit. So I'm going to make a couple of rows around. I'm thinking one up in this corner, probably one right by this rock, and then we'll see how it looks. We'll see if maybe we need a little bit more canopy. Maybe I will end up designing a much taller custom tree to fit in, or to fit that kind of canopied vibe I want to go for, but for the time being, I think I'm just going to stick with these birch ones, just to keep things simpler. But it's such a smaller exhibit, and they might blend in with the wall. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I have finished adding our trees in here. As you can see, I ended up adding in 2 of these custom birch trees that I liked. I've got the one up here, as I mentioned, and one down there. Now, when I finished those, there wasn't really any good place I could really think of to put another one of these birch trees, that is. But I also didn't really want to introduce a 3rd tree into this. I don't really want to introduce a 3rd tree to this habitat. So I ended up actually taking the Pewin trees and making some short ones. They're not really custom trees, because they're pretty much exactly like what the full Pewin trees are, except short, mostly. I don't know. They look weirdly sparse, but there's nothing I can do about that. Because it's exactly how they are. Yeah. That is what they are. I guess maybe because they're babies, they look a little bit too top-heavy, but that's fine. So the last thing to come in and do here is going to be adding our ground plant life. Now, I mentioned there isn't going to be a ton of that, because of the fact that, well, I mean, this is meant to be a fairly forested area, and I don't think it would be entirely natural, and I also just don't think it will look as nice as if it's mostly open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start with some of these prehistory things, and actually while I'm at it, get out some of the plants. Here we go, the plants from Alex's caves. A couple of cycads, a couple of curly ferns, and a couple of fly traps. And I honestly don't think, well, those in addition to the ferns that I have, we'll need too much more than that. I don't really have any strong desire for a lot of bushes in here, or like patches of flowers. I might even come back in. There's a couple of small coneflower patches here, and we'll remove those. So, I finished, but you guys suck. Did you know that? Ow, Jesus. Ow. You really suck. Every time you show up, you ruin my life, and you suck. And I'm not even gonna bother killing you this time, because if I do, you'll ruin my life more. Actually, we don't need to listen to these guys. Go away. I'm gonna ignore you now. As I was saying, or as I was going to say, I've more or less finished this little exhibit, and I kind of adore it. I think it looks, or turned out, pretty close to how I wanted it to. I might want to put some trees on the outside of the walls to kind of hang over them a little bit, get a little bit more foliage coming in from the perimeter, but as it is right now, I do really like this. I have a few patches of kind of where some of these ground plants have grown. It is mostly greenery, a lot of ferns going on, and a couple of these carnivorous plants. We've got the fly traps, which we know have their own fly particles, and we've got the We've got these guys. They're like pitcher plants. That's what they're called. They're like pitcher plants. As well as our cycads, which I like a lot because they can be short. They can also provide a little bit more height in here and offer us a little bit more shade since we have a lot of these ferns around. I am a little nervous. Oh my god, I didn't decorate this out at all. Hold on, we can do this really quick. Live decorating. There we go, a little bit of grass. I have at least one. Yep, okay, we've got this. Oh, these can go in here. I don't know what else of these, if any, is aquatic. Maybe these? Pop one of those down. Pop some of these down. Oh, these are aquatic. I love guessing correctly. We'll pop. There we go. Much better. Improved. Done. Okay, so now everything is completely decorated out. Yes, I know you can see me through the fence. I am a little nervous, as I was saying, about this area right here, and whether or not they'll be able to path through this easily. I'm thinking they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. And I guess ultimately, the only way to find out is to put down our eggs and come see for ourselves in a couple days. Actually, hold on. There's a kind of nest we can make that will make them hatch faster. Isn't there? Is that what a leaf pile looks like? Okay. Alex's caves. It's the block beneath it turns into it when you breed them. And I think it also makes them hatch faster. Here we go, fern thatch. 4 ferns. Okay, we can do 4 ferns. I'm pretty sure I can actually just bone meal. Here we go. It always has to turn dark while I'm trying to record. Yes, hello. Okay. That's silk, that's silk. Sorry, I know you were almost done hatching, but I really want to put you on this thatch block now. I don't want to put it there. Let's make pretend there are little nesting areas up here. There we go. I will have to go and get lights to put around here as well, but that's something I can do off camera. So, I guess all that there is to it is to leave these guys to hatch, and come and see them when they're done. Now, with our exhibit done, I kind of mentioned this last episode, but all I've been eating for a very long time has been chicken sandwiches with eggs and tomato. And I think it's time we broaden our horizons a little bit in terms of food. But to do that, I kind of need more farming area. I do have sheep. Sheep is another food source that I haven't touched on. I do have the bees. I can switch that bee setup to make me honey at some point soon. And I probably really need to go back in there anyway, because last time I checked it was completely full. But for now, I really just want to get started on more crop fields, really. And what I want to do for that is I want to make a series of terraces. You might see in the future that this is kind of my go-to for making crop fields. I like terraces very much. I think they're fun. I think they're a good way of working within your environment without drastically changing it. I think they look good. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go in with some of these bricks to make the terraces. Originally I was thinking of a wood block, but I don't want to. I decided. There's a number of reasons for that. I guess in terms of this hypothetical society we're building up. Well, I guess not really even in terms of lore. In terms of aesthetics, really. It kind of matches this kind of solar punk, kind of vaguely futuristic style I'm building in. Rustic future, rustic futuristic, futuristic rustic, something like that. I think it fits that a lot better. And then I guess more in terms of lore, and I guess with my current, my own knowledge of gardening, is that it's actually, when you're building more permanent garden beds like this, wood is going to rot away very, very quickly, just because of the amount of moisture that you're working with. And, you know, it does partially depend on what kind of wood, how it's treated, but it is typically much easier, I think, to go with stone, especially in our Minecraft scenario. I could use metals. I've already been thinking I really need an iron farm. But we're not doing that today. Today, we're just going to use stone, and it's going to look nice. Alright, now I've gone ahead and actually set up all of our little terraces here. I have 4 total, I think? Yeah. I've got this one that kind of bypasses the sheep pen. You know, actually thinking on it, there were yaks in here at one point, and now there are not yaks. I did not touch the yaks. Maybe it was the raiders. Anyway. I have this one, this kind of terrace. I'm not sure what crops I might put here. I might put either some more double tall ones like these, That's annoying. Some more double tall ones like these. Maybe ones that need to grow on kind of trellises like the tomatoes back there. It might be good in this section. And I'm going to have a small path coming through, of course. Over here, so we've got this large one up here, we've got a smaller one there, and then a medium-sized one there. Now, pathing-wise, the problem with the pathing I've been doing so far is mostly that I don't actually have it coming up over to here. I have these dirt paths instead. And I don't really want to come back in and edit these to be the copper waterway pathing. So I'm thinking instead, because these are kind of just on the border of our lake, I might do some kind of sci-fi type situation of them. Maybe some big tanks that are sucking the water out and then distributing them to the terraces that way. Or I might just do another path of that kind leading up from over here rather than continuing from those ones over there. We will have to see. The final thing I want to do over here, and I don't think this is, I'm not sure if this is going to happen all in this episode or if I'm going to start it and finish it next episode, is I want to put a farmhouse. I want to make a proper area for us to actually cook in. I have gone ahead and put up all of the retaining walls for these terraces, and I did also start the facade of this farming building, although this needs to be switched up, I think. It is definitely going to be, as much as I think the whole style that I'm going for is fairly rustic modern, this is definitely going to be lean a little bit more towards the rustic farming side. I'm using a brick and like cobblestone palette, more similar to kind of what I've been using in the paths and the developed areas, as well as similar to actually the texture I did in the cliff over there, which I might do over here as well, although I'm not decided completely on that. I'm going to come back in and put a doorway here and cover this, maybe with dirt, maybe with moss even. Moss might be a nice idea to give it a cleaner look while still having it be a kind of green molded into the earth look. I also, of course, need to come in with crops and paths still. So while I work on filling out one of our last little fields here, I just wanted to take a moment and first of all say thank you everybody so much for the very kind comments and attention on my last video. Not all of them were on that video specifically, but it seems like that was kind of the thing that brought people in, and you know, I don't expect to be a big channel. I'm really only doing this for fun, for my own sake, more than anything else. But, you know, it's still nice to get a little bit of attention and hear nice words about something that I enjoy doing a lot and spend a lot of time on. So, again, thank you everybody so much for that. It really means a lot, and it's been very motivating. Probably evidenced by the fact that I didn't have too much of a delay in getting this video out. The other thing is going to be the next series that I work on. I've mentioned a couple of times that I do plan on doing other series on this channel, and with the Copper Age dropping 2 days from now when I'm recording this, I'm really thinking that that might be a good opportunity to start the new series, because I'm very much looking forward to this next update, as well as like the Mobs of Mayhem, the Mounts of Mayhem update, the one that they just previewed yesterday. It looks fantastic. I'm so excited about the Nautilus mob. And having a more vanilla save in order to, you know, update and keep up to date with all the really fun things that the Minecraft devs are starting to do. I think that's a good idea. So I guess my question would be for anybody watching who has any thoughts. What kind of style or theme would you want to see when I do something like that? In this series, I am focusing on a slightly more modern style than I usually do. I usually do a lot of more medieval fantasy stuff, which maybe that's a little stereotypical for a... Oh, that's right, I was going to move one of these fields down. I know medieval is kind of the default style for a lot of people these days, but it's fun to do, and as I just said, that's kind of what I'm doing this for, to have fun, you know? So I don't mind if that's the case. But I enjoy expanding my horizons. I enjoy trying different things, as evidenced by how much I adore this series already, despite the fact that it is a pretty big leap away from what I usually do. So I have pretty much finished coming in and planting out those fields, as well as kind of adding some final touches to decorate this area out some. I came back in with some of those willow bushes that we established at the very beginning of this series. I figured even if we aren't using them as a retaining fence or wall anymore, it would still be nice to have some in the area. I added in, or finished decorating. I'm not sure if this well was here in the last clip, but it's here now. And I just added in, you know, some more florals, some things to make the space in between our builds not look quite so empty. There's still definitely a lot left to do in this area. We do have down here by the water this... the idea was it was going to be, you know, a water processing section, but I don't really know what to put here. Maybe I won't do that at all. Maybe I'll expand it into some docks. So we have that to consider. And as it is getting dark here, we had the... well, that wasn't very good. I'm not very good at flying, it turns out. We had a windmill that I really want to put above the actual farming building here. And even besides that, I think we might spend the next episode working on our farming district anyway, because there's definitely some more crop fields we could stand to make. This will do a lot for getting us further into cooking, more access to more recipes, as well as getting us started with the Swem horse mod. But we have those cows we need to make an exhibit for. There's been ducks everywhere. Exhibit, you know, a field, a barn for another barn. There's been ducks to put everywhere. The rabbits could really use a proper home, since right now whenever I harvest my fields, in order to go throw the seeds in the bone meal maker, traversing the rabbit hutch is a little dangerous, more so for the rabbits than me. But still definitely a lot to do, and I think taking a break from our animal enclosures to work on setting up a little bit more farming infrastructure will be good for us. So with that, I want to thank everybody again so much for watching and for all of the kind words on my last episode. I hope if you guys enjoyed this video that you'll consider giving it a like and subscribing, and I hope that I will see you next time. What are you doing here? How did you get here?